Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Dharma Time here on WPSN99.com. I am, of course, your host, the Dharma Guy, under quarantine with the Dope Doctor. What's up, brother?
What's up, man?
You know what? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that right now.
Yeah.
You know, as you can tell, we're not in the
This is
studio.
weird, huh?
I'm huddled up in my daughter's room because that was the best
I see
location, at least for an impromptu show. You were a little bit more prepared than I am, obviously, because you have the
Oh, really?
well, you have the banner and stuff. For those of you who are watching on our streaming show,
I'm in Studio B. You are banned from Studio A and Studio B.
yeah, I guess so, apparently. But anyways, so I don't know how all this works. I'm gonna try to, this is new for us. We downloaded some new software. I'm hoping we integrate. Oh, this is my dog.
What is that?
That's my dog freaking out, losing his mind.
I heard that.
That's one of the joys of doing it here. Is
Yeah.
you guys get to hear my dogs in the background, which is great. Anyways, oh, look at that! I can see the comments. Marissa, she says you're back. Got worried. No,
Yeah.
we're here. We just
I don't see the comments.
we're
Swipe left to reveal comments.
oh, there you go. Anyways,
There it is.
so I'm looking at I got a Facebook feed over here, so I'm able to see everybody. For
you got
those of you
everything.
who are watching on Facebook Live, you can tell
What's
where
up?
it's a little bit different. We had a show planned today.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about panic, actually, which I think is appropriate.
Everybody's panicking, Trinity.
It's
You can't even do business as usual.
well, we're apparently panicking as well because look, we're under quarantine. But
I'm just not going to be around your ass.
the way I explained it to people is
You got a beard. They said shave your beard.
not going to happen.
You're not shaving your beard.
Not going to happen.
You have little kids who are like little infested
Little petri dishes.
mutants.
Yes, they're like little petri dishes.
One of them got sent home. So you think I'm gonna be around you? Nope.
Well, no, she just didn't go. She threw up or something like that. I don't know. She's fine. I think she was just trying to get out of class, to be honest with you. But whatever.
That's it.
So the thing about panic, man, like, well, first off, let's do our normal thing. As people can see behind you, 8339
Yeah.
matters. If somebody's struggling with the disease of addiction and you need help, call 8339 matters. That's 8339 matters, and we will help you. Or you can go to nowmattersmore.org. And you can fill out application. You can see what we're all about, and you can even donate money. But regardless, hopefully you guys are all watching right now because you're quarantined at home as well, or you're trying to do the responsible thing. So I guess let's start there, man. What's the difference between panic and acting responsible in your mind?
When you start fighting people over them having toilet paper in their basket and you don't.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Wait, first of all, when you have to buy 6 rolls, the monster rolls of toilet paper,
Yeah.
that's panicking.
Dude,
preparing is getting double the supplies. Double the supplies we can handle.
I saw somebody with a truckload of diapers. Like, literally a truckload of diapers. And they were all size 6, so I'm not sure if he was, like, buying them for his house or if he was, some people were saying he might be donating them, but I don't know about that.
I'm thinking that right now the way people are hoarding supplies and just freaking out about that part of it, I think that's the panic part. I think that the responsible thing is you should. First of all, we're in Florida, Trinity, so we're a little bit more prepared for these kinds of things. I think we tend to keep a lot of batteries on hand. We tend to keep increased amounts of water on hand. Not toilet paper. That's a first.
Wait, let's stop there. What is the deal with the toilet paper, bro? Where did that come from? I have my own theory.
Apparently, all toilet paper is made in China. So that we did not know.
Really? Because I saw a video of a guy in like a Russian warehouse or something. I don't know, but
I just find it weird.
Here's my theory.
Our bum is related to them.
Here's my theory. Right, this is where the panic comes into play, I guess. Right, my theory is somebody was in a store buying for like a sports team or something, or like a little league team or whatever, and they were buying a whole bunch of it. And somebody else saw them, thought that it was related. It was like, well, I need to get some too. Another person walked in, saw 2 or 3 people buying a bunch of toilet paper, and just figured, well, I need to, and they just took off from there. That's my theory. And
Okay.
Marissa just commented on our Facebook. It said diarrhea isn't even a
You could,
symptom.
you could put the comments on this system.
I think they are, aren't they?
Mm-mm.
Oh, well,
No, you can put it on our actual system so that people, any comment that you want to show, you can show to everybody.
all right.
Should be able to just highlight it or something.
I put it here. Boom.
It's a new
Yeah,
system
it
for
just
us.
popped in there.
Right
I
on.
just added it. So,
So, going by what you just said,
yes.
I think that's part of it. I think when everybody seems to put importance on something,
Yes.
it makes you feel like, well, then I need to play catch up. I need that too. If you need it, I need it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can't let you have everything. The sad thing is there's people out there that were really legitimately running out of toilet paper and really needed it.
My mom.
And some of you got like 8 rolls.
Well, my mother didn't buy any new supplies because she was supposed to go to Europe for a vacation, Ireland. That got canceled, obviously. And so when she came back, she had no food and no toilet paper because she was supposed to be gone for like a few weeks. And she tried to go to the store to get stuff, and everything was gone.
Everything's gone.
And
I wish you could put Marissa's comment on there. I haven't seen it, but
I put it on there.
Oh, that the panic is making people crap themselves. That one.
Yes,
That's a true statement.
it is.
But again, I think that when you live in states where you have disasters, natural disasters, or times where we get shut down periodically anyway,
Right.
like for us, it's typically September,
Right.
October. We have hurricane season. We start thinking about stuff like that. We stock up on some supplies.
Yeah, well, I think that's where people feel that we're well suited for it, I guess, was because we do have the history of being prepared, if you want to say.
Right.
But I do think that the panic is coming out, man. Like a little bit of like the FOMO, I guess. I think that the media is helping to blow things up a little bit. I think that panic, it comes from the fear, right? We're afraid. We're afraid of losing something, or we're afraid of not getting something. And I think at this point, the fear mostly is people, I think, are afraid of the unknown. We hear every channel you tune into, you hear different numbers. You hear that, you're all going to die. You hear that only old people. I've heard that not kids are going to get it. I've heard varying numbers as far as the actual outbreak. One of the telling statistics to me was Italy had like 300 something people die in literally like a 24-hour period. As far as reporting is concerned, I was one of the ones that was very not freaked out, if you will. I will say, though, that talking yesterday, full disclosure, we have a golf tournament coming up for the Now Matters More Foundation. And we were on a conference call yesterday discussing what we're going to do and, how we're going to interact with it, I guess.
Right.
And I don't know. One of the things that came up was we were all kind of worried, I guess, is to who do we invite? Are they going to come? What's going to happen, essentially, is really what it was all about.
It's a day-to-day. I mean, the real concern is that it's a moving target, right?
And the thing that brought it home for me, to be honest with you, that kind of really impacted me the most was one of our advisory council members, Tom Hall. He used to work at UCF. He's now the head of the Orange County Drug Free Coalition. And so he was speaking from a county perspective. And one of the things he said to me was, or to all of us on the conference call that hit home, was the numbers. Talking about how the influenza virus is like 0.07 or 0.09%. And this one's at 2 or 3%, roughly. That's a lot of people. That's like 10 times. And so I think that the fear that you're going to be one of those 2 or 3% is what's freaking people out. Because, that's a lot of people, man. It's like 1 million plus people.
Yeah, but I mean, again, those numbers are based on people that have been tested
Correct.
or have already tested positive, right?
Correct.
As far as how few people have seriously been tested, we don't know.
Right.
But look, I'm not trying to minimize it. I'm just trying to say that I think if this was just happening in the United States, I would swear this is just a political thing. But it's not happening just here in the United States. I mean, this is a freaking international crisis, man. I mean, the whole world has literally stopped playing sports.
Yeah.
So it really makes you think, yes, God is a female. And all sports have now been canceled. Because now my wife is getting more attention than she has ever gotten, ever.
More attention. What do you mean by more attention? How?
Well, I'm not distracted by ESPN or
Oh.
NASCAR
Attention from
or
you.
NFL or
Yeah, no, I feel you.
NBA. I mean, there's like no sports to watch. Dude, she came down and she goes, they canceled all sports and yet you still found sports? I said, yeah, baby, because they're playing old NBA games and old NFL games from back in the day.
Wow.
I'm like rewatching Celtics Lakers.
That's
It's
wow.
like, it's just.
I've never
It's
been
just.
able to do that. I've never been able to watch an old game that I know the winner, if you will.
Oh, those I can. I mean, yeah, I could watch some old
You
classic
forget
rivalry
things every
games.
5 minutes, so like you're lucky.
That's
You
true.
can
That's
watch it
true.
and then watch it again right afterwards.
That's so.
But no, I think when it comes to panic, man, I think that we're all guilty of it, not just in the COVID-19 or coronavirus, whichever you want to call it. I think it's something bigger, right? I mean, we panic about all sorts of things.
Right.
Somebody, Marissa just commented. She said the number increases as testing increases, and they conveniently don't talk about those who recover. Same with
Yeah.
addiction. It's only important to the news once people die or end up in jail.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm fully feeling like we're all going to have it at some point, right?
It's the vibe,
But
right? The vibe is going to go around. The
yeah, but I
severity of
want to
it is
have
where
it
we're
the way the mayor of Miami has it.
right.
He's still like on television going, "I have it,"
Or
but
Idris
he
Elba.
looks fine.
Idris
Yeah,
Elba's hanging out. Although his wife
yeah,
is terrified, but
his wife looked real terrified
yes,
behind him, didn't
yes, she
she?
looked
but
distraught.
but I got to be honest. I think the people that really should have been quarantined are the elderly, and we just should not get near them for a while. Nobody. I think
Right.
if you have somebody older, like mom, dad, I love you, but I don't think it's good that we see you anytime soon, because I think that we are risking your life. I think this is fine for younger people, and eventually I think it'll mutate into something that can hurt more people. But as of right now, it seems to only be hurting the at-risk population, which is the elderly and people with already some compromising issues, some health issues. And my dad has COPD. I don't want him getting it. My mom and my mother-in-law, they're a little older, and I don't want them anything complicating their health. So for them, they're the ones that should have been quarantined. Now, why your kids got sent home when for some reason they can have it and all they are is carriers and running around, I don't know, because they're still going to want to
my
play.
kids weren't sent home per se. What happened was, Dustin
Sent
and
home.
Trinity were fine, but Skylar just didn't go.
No, I mean everybody's kids were sent home. There's like no school.
Yeah, school's completely out until at least the
Kids-
30th.
Yeah, everybody's home now.
Yeah, tell me about it. I know.
Which mine isn't, because my Zoe's on spring break, so she's
Yeah, well, the ones who aren't panicking are the millennials and the younger generation. I've seen pictures of them all like at the beach, kind of hanging out, partying it up. So
I'm here at New Smyrna. New Smyrna's packed full of
Yeah.
people on the beach right now, brother.
Yeah.
I just went to the studio and it was full.
So I think that's part of it, right? Like I think that panic. They have their own things that they panic about. Like when my 15-year-old daughter loses her phone charger, or she's at 1%, she starts to panic, right? Like, to whereas some of us are panicking in the sense of, hey, we don't want our loved ones to pass away because we
Right.
understand it. I think that for me, what helps, and I think for any situation when it comes to panic, is perspective, right? I mean, is to instead of reacting, respond. We did that show a few weeks back. And the way you respond versus react from a spiritual sense, anyways, is maintaining your inner peace. You know what I mean? Try to put it in perspective. Understand, yes, the coronavirus is real. It's here. It's impacting people. There's things that we can do to minimize our exposure. There's things we can do to minimize the exposure to those around us. One is the
Right.
social distancing, which we're all doing currently right now. Obviously, I'm at my daughter's room, and you're in the in your own house. And things of that nature. Like and then the washing of the hands, which I'm sorry, but should we not have been doing that already? I'm just gonna put that out there.
Dude, there's some nasty. Dude, I was at TPC the very last day we were allowed to watch golf up in Jacksonville.
Right.
Right before that got shut down. And I'm in a VIP tent at the 16th and 17th hole. These aren't cheap tents, right? And two nasty, dirty fools didn't wash their hands after going to the bathroom. I'm thinking,
horrible,
listen,
man.
all right, so the fact that you do that even before all this happens, I get it. It's just who you are. I just don't want to.
Who you are? No, man, that's gross, dude. I'm not letting them off the hook. That's
It's who they
nasty.
are. But the fact that they even do it now, now not only are you a dirty mofo before this happened, but now you really nasty.
Yeah,
That's what I don't understand is that you have to actually teach people to wash their hands. You
right.
actually have to teach people to stock up on canned goods. Where do you live that you don't have some canned goods stocked up? You should
Right.
always stock up on canned goods. My mother always had, it was the stuff you didn't want to eat,
Right.
like yams and stuff.
Yeah. Ugh.
Like, remember everybody always wanted donated food? You just go to your mom's cabinet and
Yeah.
get the canned foods that you always see there that nobody eats and
Yeah.
just grab those
The ones
and
have been there for like
give
8 years.
Right. I mean, our parents always stocked up on canned
Yeah.
goods.
Yeah, that's
But
just
it's
what
like
they did.
this newer generation of young person buys only what they eat and not more than.
Right.
And some of us are to blame too, man. You should always have batteries. You should always have water. You should always have canned goods. This is the way it should be.
Well, see, I think some of that, I do believe that Florida is a little bit, on par with that because we're so used to it with the hurricane stuff.
Right.
So I think a lot of us might still have just things laying around, or
Right.
we have our go-to supplies.
Right.
And so I think, I don't know what it looks like in other states at the moment. I will say here the panic is very real.
Right.
I don't know in other states if they're handling it differently. I do know that we have seemed to be last in some of the mandated closings. Like they just announced this morning, I think, that they're closing down bars and restaurants here in Florida. But
Right.
they did that I think it was yesterday or the day before in California. So we're definitely following suit as a government, but as a people, I gotta be honest, man. I don't see a lot of people panicking though. Right, so I mean, I
Right.
know we're doing the show on panic because I think it's very real, and not necessarily just with the coronavirus, but in general, people panic about a lot of things,
Right.
and I think we do need to address just overall panic in situations. But as far as it relates to specifically the coronavirus itself, most people I have right now, Dr. Tom Hall said it perfect yesterday: coronavirus fatigue. I
Yeah.
see a lot of like
Yeah.
defiancy and a lot of rebelliousness right now. A lot of people are joking about it. A lot of people are
Yeah.
frustrated with it. They're hearing about it too much.
Right.
There's a lot of memes out there, and I'm guilty of it myself. I have a meme on my phone that I probably have sent you at some point where it lists all of the different supposed diseases that were going to kill us in the last 20, 30 years. Between MERS, SARS, swine flu, H1N1, bird flu, all these things. So I think a lot of us have coronavirus fatigue. So I think that's what we got to establish, right? Where the middle ground is. You don't want to be
Well,
so complacent that you spread the virus to people, because there are people dying of this. This is a real thing. But you also
right.
don't want to panic where you go around buying 100 rolls of toilet paper when you don't really need it.
And I think the real issue in something like this, to me, more than the mortality rate, because I think the mortality rate doesn't justify what's happening, at least in our country. I'm not saying it's not happening in Italy, because unfortunately, I feel for the Italians. It's an older population, which I didn't know. I didn't know that Italy was made up of an older population. Apparently, all the younger ones came to New York. I don't know, but apparently, it's an older population in that country, and in some other countries, it's getting hit a lot worse. But in our country, I'm thinking about we're like the financial center of the world, right? We're the consumers of the world. And so if we're not consuming, except other than if it's available at Publix or Ralph's if you're in another state or whatever, but at a supermarket,
Right.
then we're not really consuming. So what about all the part-time employees? Because I hear the full-time employees, a matter of fact, just on the TV on the other side over here, I'm seeing that Trump and the administration is kind of saying that within 2 weeks they're going to start paying some Americans that are missing out on money. That's pretty damn fast and good.
Yeah, I was watching that this morning.
I'm sure the administration is going to do really good. But just like when we had the hurricanes, Trinity, and you can attest to this, you don't have to go into personal stuff, but you can attest to this, that the federal government makes a decision, and then even the state government make a decision that can help, but then the banks get involved. And then that's where, for some reason, they get bailed out, but they don't really translate that help to the common person at the end of the day. So even though the federal government and the state governments are trying to do what they can do, I think that that as the money gets trickled down, am I going to get a check? The answer is no. I'm not a full-time employee with anybody. I'm a small business owner. I don't know how they're going to help me out. I don't know how they're going to help you out. You're the same. But they've already canceled some of my speaking engagements. They can't give me that money back. They can't give me that back.
Right.
So there's a lot of people that are going to be struggling financially they really can't take the hit, man. There's a lot of people out there that 1 month of no
Yeah.
income and they're completely destroyed. And that's what's about to happen
Right.
unless the money gets sent out really quick. And I don't know how that's going to
Well,
happen.
I say we talk about that real quick. Actually,
Yeah, that's where the panic should be.
well, I agree. I think the panic right now should not necessarily be placed on, and I don't want the word panic. I think feels a bit excessive, but if anything, the panic, I think, I agree with you, should be the devastation that this is going to leave behind for so many people that isn't directly, an illness of some sort. You know,
Right.
we've all seen the stock market crash. Like it's completely bottoming out every day.
Right.
Lots of people are losing their savings, their retirement, things of that nature. Then
Well,
yes,
that's
people who are going to be off work. I just saw right before we went on live. I saw somebody I know on my Facebook feed posted that with the bars and restaurants closing, that's the industry that they work in, and they're closed for a minimum of 30 days.
right.
That means that person has
Right.
zero income for 30 days. That's an
Right.
entire month with no income. And
Right.
and working in the food and beverage service industry, they weren't exactly living large either. So it's not like they
Right.
have a $30,000 bank account they can turn to.
Right. Right.
So 1 month of a lack of income could severely impact people. And so
Dude, I mean,
that's where the panic, I think, comes into play too.
I trickle it all the way down to the scalpers.
Right.
I mean, think of the scalpers that they stockpile tickets and sell them at events.
Right.
That didn't happen. Those events got canceled, brother.
Yeah.
So when an individual that's struggling like that, now whether it's the right way or wrong way, there's all kinds of jobs like that where people invested
Right.
in a holiday like what today is. By the way, happy birthday, Johnny, my nephew. It's his
Oh,
birthday
right on.
today.
Happy birthday.
But you know, it's St. Patrick's Day today.
Yeah.
How many bars, how many restaurants, how many businesses invested in Bike Week, which is happening right now in Daytona,
Yep.
invested in St. Patrick's Day, and then that didn't happen. So
Yep.
so all those investments, poof, gone. So there are a lot of people out there worried. Here's what I have to say to that particular part of the panic. You know, we make it. We always survive it. I don't care what it is.
Right.
You're not going to let this destroy what you've already built. If you've built it and you have a firm foundation on what you built, be it a home, be it a business, be it whatever, I'm sure that they're going to make some allocations for that. I'm sure they're going to create some assistance for that. Hell, I have squatters' rights, right? I cannot pay. How long do you think I can stay in my house? I'm just going to stop paying my mortgage and just stay here for a while.
Yeah.
See when they come kick me out.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I know. The point is that I think in a time like this, it's not necessarily the panic that you guys should be focused on. Unfortunately, it should just be on. Let's just keep everybody close to you, keep it safe. You know this is going to blow over. The fact that we had a strong economy before this happened should give you a lot of confidence that you're not going to lose your retirement, you're not going to lose your stocks.
Right.
All that's going to just bounce right back. The fact that we had almost zero unemployment before this happened, don't worry, your jobs are coming back. Everything is going to bounce right back. Now, if this would have happened when we were already struggling as a nation, that's a whole different ballgame. I think that's what happened with some of these other countries.
Right.
So I think what we're going to see is those countries are going to have a harder time at bouncing back. I got full confidence in the American dream right here, man. This is just going to bounce right back. I'm not just worried about that. But I do feel for the people that live paycheck to paycheck
Right.
and needed to work today and they can't go to work today.
Yeah, I think that's part of the panic, right? I mean, I think that part of not panicking is putting things in perspective and
Right.
Trying to maintain that inner peace. What's really important. Obviously we need finances to survive. We need to pay our bills and
Right.
keep a roof over our head. But as long as all your loved ones make it through this alive and
Right.
well, they can bounce back. And as you pointed out, the economy will. There's already rumblings of a stimulus thing that's going to come out. That's what he was talking about this morning. Was giving everybody
Yeah, in 2 weeks.
check for basically $1,000, I think it was.
Boom.
Not that $1,000 is going to solve everybody's problems, but it's a step in the right direction.
Buys a lot of toilet paper.
That it does. But for me, I think that's where the panicking comes into play. Was what keeps me from panicking is trying to take a realistic approach. I don't walk around under the guise that nothing bad is going to happen. And I think
Right.
that when something bad does happen or something that doesn't fit within your box of expectations happens, that's where the panicking starts to take place because you just
Right.
operated under the consensus of everything's going to be great today. I don't
Right.
do that. I think everything's going to be what it is, and I'm going to adjust accordingly. And so
Right.
that mindset, in and of itself, contributes to my ability to not quote unquote panic, because
Right.
I'm not thinking it's going to be a perfect day. I hope, obviously. What is that? You plan for the worst, hope for the best.
Right.
And so when something like this happens, my first thing is, okay, well, I mean, perfect example, like right now, neither one of us are, let's just be honest, man. Neither one of us are really, really overly worried about the coronavirus. We respect
Right.
it. We understand what it could be, but we're not, we're still kind of going on with our day for the most part.
Right.
Part of that is because, as you pointed out, we both, our income is not dependent upon a check. Our income is dependent upon sponsors and getting out and doing the things that we have to do. So some of that is a necessity, but we've also made adjustments, right? Like we didn't panic, but we responded. Like for instance,
Right.
I wasn't at the show on Friday because my daughter had she threw up the night before, so I was like, hey, this is a little bit odd. It's a little bit out of place. Normally I
Right.
wouldn't have cared, but because all the stuff is happening, I gave you a call because I know your father is potentially at risk. And so I was just like, hey, full disclosure, this is what's happening. You decided that you would prefer for me not to, and I agreed and I understood, so I stayed at home.
Right.
Today, instead of making a trip out there, we decided to go ahead and add this to our repertoire now of doing some online type stuff and some remote
Yeah.
viewing. Which this actually might be a blessing in disguise. Everybody, we get some really cool
Well, yeah.
things coming up.
Yeah. Well, we are. See, the thing is, Trinity, you and I are in a very unique position because our 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 living is online. So
Right.
the fact that you and I, our jobs aren't really impacted
Right.
because typically what we do is we communicate online and we satisfy our sponsors. So we could do that even when you're there in your daughter's room, which you need
Yeah.
to paint the top right there. That little
I
why
know. My wife did that when we
why
were up
didn't
on a NASCAR trip. By
why
the
didn't
way,
she paint that top
I
right
don't
there
think she could
by
reach
the
it.
ceiling?
I don't think she could reach it.
So the fact that you're able to work from
Yeah.
there and I'm able to work from here, that's us. Here's what I'm thinking though. Big props to Zion and all the rest of the NBA players who have decided to donate money to the people that work in those
Yeah.
arenas
Yeah.
that aren't
I
working.
think Mark
And
Cuban
I
started
would
it
like
out
to
with his
encourage
people too.
I would like to encourage every multimillionaire out there, every single
Yep.
one of you, what you can do to help this economy is amazing. Pick a local business that you go to on a regular basis or something that you enjoy on a regular basis and just gift that particular business the profits it would have made so that it could pay its employees and
Yeah.
continue to operate as a business through this summer.
Yeah.
Because I'm just going to say summer. Whatever's happening now, I'm just going to let's just say it's going to happen for 3 months. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if it will, but let's say it does. Every single one of you out there that have been blessed within this country by the American dream, if you have the ability to sponsor a business or sponsor a venue and just add to what they need to cover their employees. And I'm not just talking full-time employees. I'm talking independent contractors that would normally have business. I'm talking about part-time employees who just work like part-time and they work certain events. If you can do that, you'll really, really be doing a great service for everybody. Don't expect the government to answer all your problems. I think where we're at today is we always expect the government to somehow answer our problems. That's not the American way. Remember, this whole crisis that we're looking at, the way it's reacted, the panic started from the street. It didn't start from our government. Our government did the right thing. They were saying, calm down, everybody. Calm down, everybody. That's exactly what government should do.
Right.
The panic came from the street. The closures and all the reaction came from the street. That's organic, and that's the way it really should happen. We finally told the government, we're not moving around. So you might as well just tell everybody we're not going to move around because we're not going to do it.
Well, I think some of the panic also was helped along by the media coverage of things. And
Well,
the
that's 100%.
yeah, I
But that's not
mean,
government. But that's not government.
no,
Government
no,
and media
no,
are separate things.
no. But yeah, I wouldn't say quote unquote the people. Like I don't think Joe from down the street necessarily did it, but the media definitely helped that along by covering certain
Right.
things.
Yeah.
But
They wagged the tail for sure.
yeah, yeah. But I think back to what we were getting about when it comes to panic. I think that it is, man. It's paramount for people to respond rather than react, man. Like, understand, hey, you're going to get through this. It might not be in the time frame that you would like for it to be. It might not be the exact way that you're envisioning, but you will make it through it somehow, some way. And look at this as a positive experience as well, right? I mean, there are things that we could take from this. I will say that use this as an opportunity to see where maybe you're lacking in certain areas, where maybe you weren't prepared the way you thought you were. Maybe you didn't have the savings account that you thought you had. Maybe you didn't have the supplies. I know for us right now, as a network, we saw some of our areas that we could tighten up on. Hence the new
Right.
software that we're working with. So it might actually be a blessing for us moving forward.
Right. Right.
So that's what you got to make adjustments, and
Right.
those adjustments are great. But what makes them even better is when you actually learn something from those adjustments and improve moving forward.
Right.
And with that kind of a confidence, I think that helps with the panic idea. Because a lot of times, panic, really, to be honest with you, panic comes down to fear and unpreparedness.
Right.
You're afraid of something and you feel unprepared. But, like when somebody goes into a test a lot of the times,
Yeah.
a lot of the people who go to the test who aren't afraid is because they prepared for it well, or they feel like they prepared for it well.
Right.
They
But
studied, they did what they had to do. Go ahead.
I'm going to agree with you, like what you said, that I don't see the normal everyday person panic. And I know we've all seen the videos of one or two people or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a very few videos.
Yes.
There's more videos online where an animal looks like it's talking than there are people actually fighting each other. I think for the most part, at least in our community right here in New Smyrna Beach, you can tell me about Orlando, but here in New Smyrna Beach, yeah, some shelves are empty. But as far as like people, the way they're treating each other and acting towards each other, very civil,
Yeah.
very responsible.
Yeah, I gotta.
I'm very proud of everybody. I got to be honest. I'm very, very proud of my community
Me too.
for how they're dealing
Me
with
too.
this.
Actually, yeah, because I went out yesterday to the store to pick up some supplies.
Right.
Not like for the corona. I just needed some stuff at the house.
Yeah.
My wife has,
Weekend.
yeah, my wife has her little things that she has to have. So, I went and I was joking around with the people there, and everybody, it's just even keel, really. Everybody for the most part was kind of cool. There was a couple jokes made here about it, and just we're all just trying to get through it as a
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
I will say, funny story though. It was a few nights ago. This, my only experience. It wasn't necessarily a bad experience per se, but it was interesting, not to say the least. I was in a store grabbing a couple things. I was in line. There was a lady in front of me and one in front of her. The one in front of her was checking out. The one in front of me was, waiting to check out, putting her stuff up onto the belt.
Right.
And the lady in front of me, she was of some sort of Oriental descent. I don't know.
Asian.
Yeah, to the untrained eye, they would say Chinese.
Asian
But it
Trinity.
was
It's
Asian.
2020. Asian.
Yeah, whatever. They're over there. How about that? Not here. I don't know what you want to call it, man. I didn't ask her if she was Korean. I didn't ask her if she was Japanese. I didn't ask her if she was Chinese, Philippine, somewhere over there.
I shouldn't have brought attention to it.
No,
I'm
you
sorry.
shouldn't have. To the untrained eye, to the average everyday Joe who doesn't think about those things, in their mind they saw Chinese. I guarantee you.
Okay.
So she was in front of me, and she's obviously sick. She started to cough. Now the first cough, she didn't cover her mouth, and the lady in front of her who was checking out. He turned and looked and gave her the worst look I've ever seen in my life. And then the second or third cough, she covered up a little bit. And that was the extent of it, right? It was just that weird little awkward where everybody kind of just froze and was like, to whereas
Right.
on a normal Tuesday, 6 months
Right.
ago, we wouldn't have even thought about it.
Right.
We the germaphobes might have been like, "Ooh, what are you doing?" But for the most part, we would have just ignored it and moved on with our day. But the fact that this is happening, and she had the heritage that she currently had, we all were like,
Yeah.
it just got real quiet all of a sudden. But that is kind of a dick move, just in general, coronavirus or not. If you're going to cough and sneeze, cover your mouth, people. I mean, that's just rude.
Yeah.
But that was the extent, right? And then after she left, we all kind of just moved on, and nobody yelled at her, nobody fought her or punched her in the face or anything. Like, it was
Right.
relatively cordial. Although I will say that the shelves were bare yesterday for toilet paper and eggs. I don't know if they're related or not, but the
Eggs.
toilet paper and eggs was completely bare when I went in there yesterday.
You need to get yourself some chickens.
Yeah, well, I guess
You know.
so.
Well, I got to admit, a month ago, when this seemed to only be impacting Asia, I stayed. I made jokes. I said I'm not even going to Chinese restaurants. I'm just not. So at the beginning, that's the way it was. But it's much like, AIDS. When AIDS first came out, it seemed to be in a specific population. But as it grew, as it spread, it hit every population. But there's no doubt that it started in one particular population of people, or spread mostly in one particular population of people. That's not being anti anything. It's just the reality of the information that we were getting, right? So at first, we were all getting information that Asia, Chinese.
Yeah.
So at first, I feel bad for every Asian American that was out there walking around, and people were probably just walking away from you. Probably,
yeah. Well, you know what it reminds me is the 9/11 stuff, right? Like right after 9/11, being a Muslim.
I mean, Muslim.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Imagine being a Muslim on 9/12.
Yeah, they would have sucked.
Probably wasn't a good moment.
And right now, I got to imagine. Well, maybe not so much now because it's all over the place. It's literally everywhere. But yeah, within the first few days, man, being of like Chinese descent here, like you're probably getting some funny looks.
Right. No, but look, the coughing thing. So Dana and I, we knew that eventually these restaurants are all going to be closed. So we went to an outdoor one where we knew we could go to a restaurant and at least give some money to a restaurant, right? So we picked one too frequently, Half Wall right here in New Smyrna Beach.
Hey, if you're looking to give money, dude, Casa de Phillips is open, bro.
It is, and we sit outside. So we feel pretty safe, man. I'm sitting, there's nobody really close to us, but there's the one table that's close enough to me. This dude starts coughing like he's choking, though. It wasn't a cough like sick cough, but choking, but it's still a cough.
Right.
And Dana and I just looking at each other like, this. And you could tell the wife keeps bringing him closer to her, like I got you, baby, trying to help him. But the dude couldn't stop, bro. The dude coughed for a good whatever minutes. And then after it was over, we're thinking, okay, he's not choking anymore. Before we left, he starts sneezing.
Oh,
it was like, all right, you already had your I'm already full with you. In other words, you've already had your allocated time for coughing. The sneezing is like overtime. Now you're getting on the nerves that are about to tell you something. Dude, I don't know how I kept my mouth shut on that, other than I'm trying not to panic either, and I'm trying to be civil. And so I get it, bro. You got something going on, and you're trying real hard to keep it and contain it. But maybe you shouldn't be out. You shouldn't be out because you appear to be symptomatic.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, be responsible, and I think that is the fine line, right, between panic and arrogance. Essentially, is the response is one of measured respect for the situation. You know what I mean? Like, look, I'm not terrified of it. I don't think any of us are going to die from it. I don't. I think there are some, and I feel bad for those people and the families associated with them. Do I think that it's going to be like the plague, where half the Earth's population is going to be wiped out? No, I don't. Having said that, out of respect for those people who are worried about, number one, number two, those who will be negatively impacted, I'm going to do my part to not unnecessarily be in a position where I can infect other people, because that is a main thing that I think that we do have to be aware of, and that is you don't have to be showing symptoms to carry the virus.
Right. Apparently.
You can be asymptomatic, walk around feeling just fine, but you're infecting everybody you come in contact with. And the problem isn't necessarily people like yourself or myself or even my little ones for that matter. It really seems like it's really decimating the older population. And we all have like a mom or a dad or grandmas or whatever.
Amen.
And so those are the people we really kind of, just out of respect for the situation, keep your distance. It doesn't, with FaceTime and things of that nature, there's really no need. You can literally, if you want to call grandma, call her on FaceTime. Just until this blows over.
It does kind of suck, man, because we were supposed to see an aunt and uncle of my wife's that were in town, or not in town, but they were in Florida. Right. We wanted to see them. That got canceled. Wanted to see, our family members. We see our family. We're just not doing it right now. That does kind of suck, but it'll blow over, like you said. Here's the problem with panic. What panic does is it makes you behave in a way that you don't normally behave. Yeah. It makes you make decisions you're not going to normally make. Yep. So the whole idea of doing this show and just talking about panic is just, it's okay to be a little freaked out a little bit, but you got to talk it through so you can get back to some rational thinking.
Exactly.
Because if you start behaving irrationally and thinking irrationally, you're going to start doing things not only that may harm you and your safety, but you're going to do things that might trigger someone else, and they may be panicking as well. Yeah. When you have two people that are in panic mode and in reaction mode, rather than thinking clearly and rationally and civilly, that could lead to a pretty bad scenario for both of you. And you don't need that in your life. This is not the time to get yourself in a compromising position, whether it be legally or anything, because then you're in a petri dish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to be in a jail scenario unless you're going to put me in isolation.
Right. Well, yeah, I don't think anybody's ever confused, sound decision making coming from panic, right? Like panic
Yeah.
typically
No.
is precedes some sort of really bad decision making that typically makes it worse.
Yeah.
And so I think
Well,
that's the important part.
Well, the bad thing is, it's like how cocaine brings out what you probably are like. So
No,
if
I
you're an
don't.
asshole on cocaine, it's probably because you're already an asshole.
Right.
Well, so if some of you are reacting like a jerk off out there, it's probably because that's who you normally are. So maybe you ought to take a look at that.
Well,
Maybe you ought to start fixing the fact that you're walking around acting like you're a nice person, or that you're a good person, or a loving person,
Right.
or an inclusive person, when really you're just a jerk off that as soon as a little crisis happens in your life, look how you behave.
Right.
Look how you hoard. Look how you're only thinking about you and your family. You should be thinking about all of our families. See, because what I'm thinking, Trinity, I live in a community that has a lot of older people. I live on, in a golf course community, so it has a lot of older people, right? I'm already thinking, well, what is it that I'm not currently thinking about that I can do, even to help these people out? Because they're probably even afraid to go to the store, Trinity.
Yeah.
Imagine you and Angel being in an advanced age right now. Let's say 70, 80 years old. How do you go shopping, Trinity?
Yeah. Well, my mom is 70 and she went yesterday, but she wasn't exactly fired up about it.
I guarantee you there's a lot of elder people that are afraid to go to the stores right now.
Yeah.
So what is it that we can do to reach out to them and say, listen, if there's anything you need from the store, maybe we can help you out.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And Marissa's right. You look what she wrote.
Yeah,
you can't even say the Wuhan that it originated in Wuhan, because people are taking it to a PC thing and making it a racial thing, like you're being a racist for saying that.
Well, that's just the time we live in. But another example, right, of panicking, right? I used to ride sport bikes, a lot actually, and I would do rather irresponsible things on them. Let's just leave it at that. Things like high-speed driving, wheelies, stuff like that. And one of the rules of thumb, though, were the people who went down a lot of times were the ones who panicked, right? There's a thing when you ride a motorcycle, it's called a high side, and that's where your rear tire spins out and it starts to slide out a little bit. And then when it catches, if you panic, when it catches, it'll slam you down really hard, and it's like the worst way to go down.
Yeah. Well, the wobble is pretty much.
Yeah. It's so
because wobble's happening. At least when it slides, it happens fast. But that wobble, you're gonna wreck.
So, much like anything else, though, the answer to that, to resolve it safely, is not to panic. There's been plenty of times where to the outside world, it seems like chaos and craziness because I'm going, at excessive speeds or doing things that they deem irresponsible. But in my head, it's like, la, 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 la. Like, I'm not panicked, I remember one time I was coming through a turn and it was excessive speeds. We were racing stuff, and I saw a deer up in front of me. And I could tell the deer was going to cross the street, and I could see the distance. This is going to potentially end bad for me. But instead of panicking, I kind of just did what I knew to be right. I followed my quote-unquote training or my experience. And, because you can't hit the brakes when you're full leaning like that. So the second I could rise up a little bit, I didn't slam on the brakes. I slowed down, let off the throttle, and watched it go in front of me. I ended up hitting like the back hoof from it. And it was fine. It just cracked a little bit of my bike, and everything was good to go. Had I panicked and when they freaked out, I don't know, I might not be here right now. And that's the thing is in life it's the same way. When it comes to coronavirus, panicking only gets you on the news for beating somebody up for toilet paper. It doesn't actually solve anything. It doesn't prevent you from getting coronavirus. It just makes you look like a jerk off, like you said.
Right. Right. I'm gonna take your example and make it a little bit more, I guess, relatable to everybody. Everybody in here, everybody watching or listening has probably been in a car accident or a motorcycle accident or some sort of accident. The panic is like when you got rigid because you saw it coming, and you get tightened up. And when you got tightened up, that's kind of what caused a lot of your injury. Whereas what Trinity's talking about right now is when you're going down or when you're wrecking sometimes, and you go like your whole body just
go limp.
Like if you go with the slide. Yeah, if you go with the slide, you don't get as injured. You're still going to get some injuries or get some burns or whatever, because that's just normal friction. But when you get rigid, which is how, just imagine now your personality getting rigid, that causes more injury to you. Not only causes more injury, but it also makes you symptomatic about other things. So it's going to start giving you maybe some ulcers or heart problems or breathing problems that don't really exist, but you're creating anxiety. So your breathing is starting to get constricted because your anxiety levels. So you're going to start being symptomatic and start thinking, is this it? Do I have it? Do I have corona? Well, no, that anxiety is going to create some symptoms that you're going to attribute to this. So I think that the more relaxed you can be and don't become hypersensitive to your body. Like I know so many of you go, oh, I know my body, so I know that I'm getting something, catching something. Listen, for the most part, the people that have been very vocal about having coronavirus, have you noticed how they're talking, how they're sounding? The ones that you've seen, they sound very calm. They say, I have it. I'm just going to not be around and infect anybody. I'm going to sequester myself and just kind of be socially isolated. That is a healthy way to do it. And like you said, Trinity, Skype stock should be going through the roof.
Skype and Netflix.
Does
this mean I'm going to see you on Destiny finally? Is that what's going to happen? Or are you going to continue to ignore me on there?
I think.
Yeah, exactly. There it is. You just answered it. Thanks a lot. Oh my God.
I'm actually, listen, I have a,
here comes the excuse. Wait for it.
Well, no, I have a thing here at my house that keeps me free from the virus, and it's called the jacuzzi. Apparently, this virus hates the heat.
Yeah.
It hates the heat. So my wife and I are getting in it as often as possible.
Oh, like you need an excuse. You're always in that damn thing. That's awesome, though. I would be too. I get it. That's awesome.
It protects you.
Sure.
It's a life-saving. Who would have thunk that the jacuzzi not only is Greek for meditation and relaxation and soothing of the muscles, but it's also saving my life right now.
And to touch real quickly on what you were just saying too about your health, it's not even just your physical health either. It's also the health of your relationships with people. When you're panicky, you make irrational decisions. You're aggressive at times or defensive. And your loved ones, maybe they're not panicking, and maybe they're trying to talk to you, and you're snapping at them, and like resentments can build and things like that. It just panicking does no good. It really doesn't. No matter what the situation, there's never really a time to panic.
And then you know what else it's doing, Trinity, is the blaming.
Yeah,
I think everybody just needs to, stop blaming anybody. You can't blame anyone for this right now. Yeah. First of all, we don't have the facts enough to blame anyone. So many of you are trying to blame somebody right now, whether it's the administration, whether it be the federal, state, or local administrations, whether it be other people for how they're buying. Look, just stop the blaming. Just look at your surroundings and ask yourself, what can I do to stay safe and not, if I'm treat yourself as if you have it. Don't treat us like we have it. Treat yourself like you have it, and how would you behave? That's how you should be behaving right now. This is not the time to bring in your political ideology. This is not the time to bring in your spiritual ideology or anything like that, unless it's for help.
Right.
Unless you're going to say, let's all have faith in a power greater than ourselves. Then it helps. Sure. That's the way we should be right now.
Well, it makes me feel really bad about. I think his name is Rudy Gobert. He was a player for the Utah Jazz.
Right.
And right before the NBA suspended the season, he popped up positive apparently for coronavirus. And first of all, there's got to be a massive HIPAA violation there that they put that out there, not him. Whatever. I digress. But I felt bad for him though, because they put his name out there and then they canceled the season. And they made it seem like he's the bad guy for infecting you. Like, dude, hold up, what? It's a virus. Like, I felt really bad for him because he's gonna forever be known as the guy who started it in the NBA, even though he didn't. You know what I mean? Like, I think there is something to that. Stop looking at people like they're the leper, like they got a big scarlet letter. It's a virus, dude. Who knows who has it? You could be a carrier and show no symptoms, but be getting other people. So unless we
all have it.
Yeah, unless you've been tested and you know for a fact you don't have it, stop acting like you don't.
Yeah. I think we all have it. To be honest, I'm just looking at it like that. I'm treating my family like we all have it. We got to be responsible and just not pass it. And if you treat yourself like that, you're going to be a lot better for yourself and your family members and your community. Like I said, panic creates the inner asshole in you to come out.
Yep.
And that's what we want to prevent. Because if you get a little jerky around some of us, we're going to let you know it.
You think?
You're not going to like it.
Yeah.
Who I'd really like to hear from, to be honest with you, Trini, and now with this new system, I think we can do it actually, is I'd like to get, can you get Marissa on this Skype and get her on this show?
I don't know.
New York is like super in the shutdown mode.
I don't know. I'd have to play around with it. Obviously, we didn't get...
All you need is her Skype number. All you need to do is to call her and put her on like you did me.
Oh, instead of you? I don't know if I can do a third one.
No, I think you could do more. I think you could do more than one on. Yeah, when we saw it, when we shopped this system was able to do more than one.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I tell you what. Let me look that up real quick and see if we can get her on, if she's even available or not. And you share.
Marissa, are you watching right now, Marissa?
Yeah, she's watching. But share your last one, because we only got about 8 or 9 minutes left, roughly.
But that's only if we go by the standards that you want to go by. We don't have those kinds of rules. Our rules.
Well,
Trinity, we're all on freaking lockdown. What the hell are we supposed to do?
Watch us.
You know what I mean? On the TV, it's like every minute, ESPN has turned into a news station.
Well, they're talking about Brady mostly now, but fill some airtime then while I look her up.
All right. So let's go back to why we're talking about this today. The reason we're talking about panic today is because so many of you, when you get panicky, it just makes you behave poorly for yourself and for other people around you. You're not at the top of your game. And right now you need to be at the top of your game. First of all, you need to be as healthy as you can be. So if you have vitamins in your house, take them. Vitamin C, D, B, all these vitamins. Stock up whatever you need to put into your system that you already have in your house. I'm not saying go out and purchase all these things. I'm saying look at the things that you delay of taking on a normal basis that keep you healthy, because you want your system, your internal system in your body, to be as healthy as it can be right now. Drink water, lots of water. Keep yourself hydrated. Move around a little bit. I know so many of you haven't been really going out and self-quarantined, and you're probably getting a little stir crazy being in your house. Get on Skype calls like this. Communicate with other people. Just because you're physically isolated doesn't mean you have to be socially isolated. You could still be communicating with other people. You could still be, maybe tinkering with ideas that you've had. Maybe you could be writing. You could be reading. I know that we're experiencing a moment in time that the entire world is going to forever remember what's going on right now. I mean, can you imagine how the history has completely been changed? There's pre-corona and post-corona, and we don't know what the post-corona is going to be. But while we're in it, maybe document some of the things that you're experiencing and feeling and things like that, because these are the things that tomorrow's books and tomorrow's movies are going to be based on. There's a lot of situations that are going on right now that later on, when this is all over, we're going to watch movies about it and shows about it. And you're going to remember where you were during this time. You're going to remember how you felt during this time. But you're definitely going to remember it if you write it down and remind yourself that you're going to be okay. You're going to get through this. How can you benefit somebody who's elderly in your community or elderly in your family to help them stay calm? Because remember, all they're hearing on TV, as freaked out as you may be, think about what they're hearing on TV. What they're hearing on TV is you're the one that's at risk. You're the one that's going to die if you get it. You're the one that's in danger. And so I really feel for anyone of advanced age, and I'm going to put myself in that category. I think anyone from 50 and above can be having some sort of heart issues, diabetic issues, anxiety issues, heart issues, cancer issues, COPD, whatever it is. So as soon as you start reaching those ages, you start getting a little bit more concerned. So help calm them down. You millennials that are out there, I really believe what that woman was saying on TV earlier today and yesterday about you guys being able to really play an important part in the resolve for this. I really believe that. I think that you can be Skyping your family members, your older, and just talk about something else. Just get their mind on something else. Just to bring some levity to the situation, because remember, they have no escape either right now.
Yeah.
And they may need you to help shop for some groceries and stuff like that. Leave them on the front porch.
Well, yeah, I reached out to Marissa. She's sending me her Skype name, and I figured out how to do it, I think. But
I have faith in you,
yeah,
Trinity.
we'll see. You have more faith than I do at the moment.
So you can end this as being part one, and then
Yeah,
you can say that what we're going to talk about in part two is actually go directly to someone that's in New York.
right. Well, to finish up what you were saying as well. Like I have little ones, and I think part of that preparedness is having those conversations, right? Like first and foremost, I try to do my best to not have my house be the Corona house, right? That's where we talk about it nonstop. We have it on the TV. I try to keep it like once we've done the necessary job of acting responsibly and staying within the walls of the house,
Right.
that's it. Like you don't have to keep talking about it. It doesn't have to be the third person in the room. You know what I mean? You can watch other things. You can do. I think my daughter's in the room right now watching YouTube or something like that, and we're obviously having this Skype conversation.
Right.
So you don't have to obsess about it. And
Right.
then my little ones are at their mother's house, and they he texted me this morning and asked me if he goes into his Guela's pool, is he going to get corona? And so I was like, no, buddy, like that's not going to
Right.
happen. So things like that,
Well,
reassuring the little ones, letting people know. Go ahead.
now, when you said abuela, but
No,
beware. I mean,
Guela,
I think
that's her name,
every
but
yeah,
it is her Isabella.
abuela, huh?
They call her Guela, but it is the Abuela for sure. That's who she
Yeah, that's
is.
what I thought. Yeah, but, but remember, every person out there, remember it's the elderly people that we have to be careful for them. So just be mindful of when you're around them. Like even they may want to hug and kiss you because they're your parents or they're your grandparents. It's hard for them not to. Just it's okay to say, I love you. Look, I don't want to infect you just in case. Just be responsible and understand that they are the population that's the most vulnerable. So we need to be very careful. And I'm not saying treat them like a pariah, but just find other ways to communicate with them or interact with them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like I said, you don't have to make it all about this all the time.
No, but you do have to check in. So don't ignore it completely because things change fast, Trinity.
Yeah,
Look, like, I mean, every 15, 30 minutes, it seems like there's new news. So at least on an hourly basis, you should do a check in just to see how the world is doing and just to see if there's something you're supposed to be doing.
right.
But for the most part, it's not going to be that drastic of a change every 3 or 4 hours. But at least check in at least a couple times a day.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. Well, Marissa, I saw you put it on there. I'm trying to add it, but it says it couldn't find it. So I think we might have to, set this
You're
aside and do it another day.
you're quitting.
Huh?
You're giving up.
Well, I mean, we're getting close. Let me see.
You're getting close to what?
To quitting time, man.
Oh, I
Let
think
me
we can
see.
quit and start again.
Oh, you mean later on today?
No, I think we can
Yeah.
we can quit the show on Panic and we can go to a show on just a regular update.
Sure,
So quit one show and
we can do that.
start another. Let's talk about we can talk about New York. I'm very interested because look, Marissa. For those of you that don't know, Marissa is a longtime viewer and friend of all of our programs, and she's in a wheelchair. She's in New York. Um, and she lives with her mom. I'd like to hear, how are they dealing with stocking up for themselves, and what kind of level of concern New Yorkers are really having because Cuomo is like on TV every 5 minutes.
Yeah,
He's like living on our TV for some reason. I've never seen Cuomo so much.
yeah.
And where's Biden and Sanders? Biden and Sanders. I'm surprised they're his backseat, but I see Cuomo and I see Trump.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would think Cuomo's running for office.
Well, you never know, man. Seems like everybody was getting their shot in it. Well, I say let's do that. We only have like a
I
minute or
know who's
so.
not getting their shot in it, Trinity.
Who?
Andrew Gillum.
Oh yeah, he's in rehab now apparently. So just you want to take a minute to wrap things up, and
Yeah,
then
go ahead, wrap it up, and then we can log off and log back on.
all right. So I'll give you my little tips before we head off here. When it comes down to panic, a couple tips we're gonna have. We didn't prepare this ahead of time, so I'm just gonna go off the top of the dome here for you. Number one, first and foremost, understand it that when to take things seriously and when to not take them seriously. In this case, it's definitely warrants taking a really serious look at and understanding what's going on. So educate yourself, understand what's happening, listen to the CDC guidelines and what's happening. Just get the facts and the guidelines of how to respond. The second tip I would have is is to absolutely respond. Don't react, but respond. And if you choose to do that, then by definition, your response won't be a panicked one, because you're gonna think it through. You're gonna respond in a formed, kind of a logical manner. Take the necessary precautions, while at the same token keeping a realistic view on things. And then the third tip I would say is as we pointed out, understand that there's more to life right now than just the coronavirus, man. Like, don't obsess about it so much that it becomes all you think about all day, every day. Understand that there's still friends and family around. There's still, things that you have access to that require your attention. And to kind of take your mind off of that a little bit and realize that there's more to life right now than just the coronavirus. So, having said that, I think we're going to hop off here now in today's show on Dharma Time, and then we'll pick back up with just a random update here in a few minutes once we can figure out this new system. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, do all those fun things. Follow us on social media, at WPSN99, at Now Matters More, at The Dharma Guy, at The Dope Doctor. Give us your thoughts, your opinions, and we'd love to hear it. So now that you know better, do better. Peace. Are you still here? What are you doing? I told you, go do better.